Hey fam, I'm MarshaunO here, your favorite life and relationship strategist, and you keep coming back to MarshaunO because you want to be a part of the top 1% of couples that have extraordinary relationships. And today I'm actually going to share with you my 10 keys to creating, to building an extraordinary relationship. So before I jump into that, if you have come here and you've liked any of my videos, and I want you to hit the thumbs up button. I want to try to get to 50 likes on this video. Yes, 50 likes on this video. And of course, if you like videos like this and you have yet to subscribe to this channel, then definitely do that today. So I'm gonna give you my 10 tips on building an extraordinary relationship. The very first thing is that you put the needs of your partner and your partner put the needs of you first. Here's the thing. If you are putting the needs of your partner first and your partner is putting the needs of you first, you and him, or him and you, or she and she, or he and he, whatever, wherever you at, you guys cannot lose. Because whenever you're thinking about giving to your spouse, to your partner, and whenever your partner is thinking about giving to you, and you guys are constantly doing that, you're constantly building life like that, you can't lose. Even when you guys feeling like you are bumping heads, you're feeling like, oh my goodness, this person is really annoying me, they're really getting on my nerves. If by and large, you are planting 8 times the amount of positive interactions in your relationship versus that one argument. So let me just explain it to you this way. For every one argument, for every wrong thing, for every negative thing, one negative thing that happens in your relationship, in order for you to feel more secure, to go back to that security feeling, you have to have 8 positive interactions with your partner. So if you can keep that in mind, you need to have way more positive interactions in your relationship than you have the negative ones. So if you find that you have way more negative ones in your relationship, trust me, you're on the losing end of the stick. And that's just research. You have to put in 8 times the amount of positive interactions versus that one negative interaction. So again, the more that you're giving to your spouse and you're putting their needs first, and the more that they're putting your needs first, you guys cannot lose. Number 2, you respond with compassion versus criticism. See, here's the thing. Every single one of us are going to get into some type of argument, going to get into some type of rift in your relationship where you're not agreeing, you're feeling frustrated, you're feeling annoyed, you may be even feeling angry, you feel like you want to even put them hands on your spouse or on your partner. Don't recommend that, of course. But you might have that feeling that they are just, they're getting under your skin and you kind of can't take it any longer. Well, if you respond, if you reach out to them and really try to understand their point of view, where you're coming to them with compassion and understanding and that soft voice instead of that loud, angry, frustrated, I'm about to kill you voice. If you go to them with compassion versus criticizing what they did, how they showed up, what they actually said to you, how they said it to you, they should work on that. Don't get me wrong, but you can only control you, as well as your partner can only control him or herself. So with that being said, if you go to him or her, no matter how he or she is acting, and this right here is going to take some control, you being intentional, and you also showing your maturity, be quite frank. But ask as many questions, get to the why, get to the roots, get to the understanding versus the criticizing. You can create an extraordinary relationship. What you're doing to create an extraordinary relationship is doing what other couples do not do. They should, but they are not practicing these things, even if they know them. I mentioned before several times that knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is better, because it does not matter how much you know if you never apply it to your relationship. So the more that you know, the better chance you have of creating an extraordinary relationship. Extraordinary couples do things like I'm saying in this list. And if you want to be a part of that, you need to start doing the things that you can do, that you can control, because you cannot control your spouse at all. He or she has to control him or herself. Number 3, you have to take responsibilities for your feelings, your hurts, your pains within yourself, and also the ones that you cause to your partner or to your spouse. Taking responsibility is such a really big thing that I'm noticing that more and more couples are struggling with. It's at least one person in the relationship, not all relationships, but in a lot of relationships, where one person seems to stand up to say, you know what, baby, I actually did that wrong and I'm sorry. And the other person just lets it go. They never take responsibility for their part that they played in it. And they always let the spouse, they always let the partner take all the blame or take the responsibility, but they never once actually say, well, you know what, I'm actually sorry too, and this is the role that I played in it. Whenever you do not do it, and whenever it's not reciprocated in the beginning, especially if you're being the mature person and you are trying to help your spouse along, because here's the thing, here's a secret as well. The more you do the right thing, the more you do not act crazy, the more you do not respond with disrespect, at some point your partner is actually going to pick up on your cues and respond the exact same way that you do. But it is going to take practice, especially if you've never implemented this in any type of relationship. So again, if you want to be a part of the extraordinary couples, then you have to start doing the thing. Your partner will follow suit. Maybe not that same day, maybe not the 5th time, but after some point, because you have decided that I am going to do this no matter what. I am going to take charge of changing our relationship around no matter what. At some point, your spouse will fall in line, and it will be a lot sooner than you think. But you have to keep control of yourself, keep control of your emotions, keep control of your feelings when it's time for you to respond. And then keep that practice going on and on and on and on. So again, you have to take responsibility for how you're showing up, your feelings, your hurts, your pains, and those that you have caused to your spouse. Number 4, practice having healthy emotional atonement, because this is actually designed to keep you guys connected instead of the distance. It's going to bring you two together. So practice healthy emotional atonement with your spouse, with your partner. Number 5, seek to understand. I mentioned understanding earlier, but you really want to seek to understand and really the understanding of the why, versus blaming your partner, versus blaming your spouse. I did this because you did that. Well, I called you out of your name because you called me out of my name. Nope. No. You have control over what comes out of this mouth of yours. And at this point, you need to practice having control if you want to be a part of the extraordinary relationships, the extraordinary couples, the top 1%, because not every relationship is like this. Some people have some things in order, but not everything on this list. If you can have everything on this list, trust me, sis, trust me, bruh, you will be a part of the top 1% of couples that have extraordinary relationships, because not many people ever reach this level, which is why there's so much mediocrity in relationships. Another reason why cheating actually occurs with mediocrity. Another reason is because there are no talks. There is no deep connection. There is no trying to figure out. There is no working in and on the relationship. It's, well, I ain't got time for that, so let me go find Keisha. Let me go find Paul. No, which you have to decide that your relationship is going to be awesome. And it's going to take some time to turn that around, because it wasn't awesome. Right now, if you're watching, your relationship is not awesome right now. And it's okay. Because really recognizing and admitting that it's not awesome is the first step to creating it into being awesome. Do you need to have a deep down conversation for that connection? that emotional atonement that I was talking about. So you can really call out where you two are in the relationship today. And when you call these things out, then you can start to actually work on creating an extraordinary relationship. But until then, you're just living in a fantasy, both of you. And you don't want to address what's actually in your face versus what you would want it to be, or what you believe it is, even though you know that it's not there. But because you never addressed it, it's like, well, I don't really have to deal with this. But you do, and you should. You do, and you should. Number 6, vulnerability. I've talked about this multiple times, but that is absolutely everything ties into vulnerability in these top 10 areas. Everything. Because if I'm going to my partner, if I'm going to my husband, my relationship, if I'm going to my husband and saying, you know what, I've actually been thinking about this, and I really feel like we need to work on our relationship. It's pretty mediocre, but I don't want it to be mediocre. I'm feeling a little bit ugly. I'm feeling a bit fat. I'm feeling like you don't love me. Like, really get down to the root and be vulnerable with your spouse, with your partner. All of this ties into you being vulnerable in order to ever think about creating an extraordinary relationship. Because if you cannot be vulnerable with your spouse, if you cannot be vulnerable with your boyfriend or girlfriend that you're thinking about taking things to the next level, whether it's engagement or even straight to marriage, if you cannot be vulnerable with him or her, you are lying to yourself, and you are also building your relationship on sinking sand. It will never last. It won't. Vulnerability is totally a top key to creating an extraordinary relationship. Number 7, addressing difficult subjects or difficult conversations. I've talked about this before. You cannot continue to sweep things under the rug and expect to have an extraordinary relationship. There is no way in hell that is going to happen. Anytime you have a bump in the road, you need to address that. The ideal time to address it is right after it happens, especially if you realize this is what's actually going on. But even if you don't realize it right away, and it comes to you the next day, or even 2 days later, and a week later, a month later, you still need to address it. Because here's the thing, you're building this muscle where you are becoming aware. More awareness is what's going to take you to the next level. That's going to get you to the extraordinary portion that I was speaking about earlier. If you never address the difficult subjects, if you keep sweeping them under the rug, at some point, both of you are going to trip over that mountain of junk that you keep hiding. And guess what? Another thing that is happening, whether you realize it or not, is you or your spouse is seeking the emotional atonement, the emotional connection outside. It doesn't have to be with the opposite sex. It could just be with another friend that they feel like they can open up to. Period. That person should be you. If you're talking about building a life together, that person should be you. Extraordinary couples, extraordinary relationships happen by having the difficult conversations and not letting them build up. They happen by being vulnerable. They happen by being compassionate. They happen by taking responsibility. They happen by understanding. Number 8, share your past, deepest, darkest secrets. So your spouse or partner can know exactly who they're lying next to. And they should be able to share their deepest, darkest secrets with you. Because here's the thing. Now you are choosing, you can make an informed choice to say, you know what, I want to stay in this relationship, and I also want to stay in it with you. I don't just want any type of relationship. I want this relationship with you. Thank you so much for giving me the space, for trusting me with your secrets. And guess what, sis? Guess what, bruh? You can never bring those secrets up unless he or she wants to talk about them. I mean, unless you have questions, sure. But you never want to throw those things in his or her face later on, because guess what? You are totally destroying your relationship. You are destroying their trust. You are destroying any foundation that you have built into the relationship by throwing that mean, ugly, very embarrassing shame and guilt back into their face. Well, I knew that you was going to be a drunk because you told me that your dad was a drunk, and now you the drunk. Like, he didn't share that with you, or even she didn't share that with you for it to smack her in the face. That's not how you're building an extraordinary relationship. What you're doing is taking that information and holding it close to the heart and never sharing it with anybody. And if he or she is able to open up with you in this manner, they will be able to open up with you in every capacity. It might not all be in one night, but he or she will be able to open up to you in a way that you've never dreamed of, because you were able to hold a space where he or she felt safe enough to just divulge all of this stuff, to cry in front of you, not to feel weak in front of you, just to let it out, to express it, to get it off their chest. And guess what? You're helping him or her carry a lighter load. Deepest, darkest secrets. Number 9, showing love the way he or she needs it. I talk about the 5 love languages all the time. Do you know yours? Do you know your partner's? Figure out what it is, but show love the way he or she wants, not the way that you want it. Because the thing is, we have a tendency, me included, we have a tendency to show love the way that we want it. So if I'm a person that likes gifts, and your partner could like gifts, but what if he or she isn't, like, gifts is not at the top of their list, but you think that you are showing him or her love because you're giving him or her gifts, but that's what you like. It's not necessarily what he or she likes, right? So find out what he or she likes, what they love, how they want to be loved, express that love to him or her in the way that they need it. If it's gifts, if it's quality time, if it's words of affirmation, whatever it is, if it's touch, whatever it is, put yourself in his or her situation and say, you know what? I know that he likes quality time. Let me give him the quality time. What does quality time actually mean to him? If you don't know, ask him, because you don't want to just guess. Creating extraordinary relationships is you knocking and really flicking that ego, flicking that pride off of your shoulder so you can understand and show up and give him or her what he or she needs, not what you just want to give them. Or not giving him or her what you gave to the last person, because we're all different in the things that we need. So you cannot just say, I'm giving her love the way that I gave my baby mama love. She different. She different. Number 10. Couples that have extraordinary relationships use binocular vision, 2, versus monocular vision, 1. They see the whole picture instead of parts. So using binocular vision, you're seeing the entire picture. Using monocular vision, 1, is you can only see so much through this one lens. All of this out here and all of this out here is blocked. Your peripheral is now blocked. But when you're here, unless your peripheral is messed up, of course, but when you're here, you can see everything. You can see everything. You can see everything. You don't just look for the faults in your spouse, in your partner. You look for the faults within yourself as well. You look for the faults within yourself and you say, you know what? He or she is not as bad as I made them out to be, and that's okay. I need to look for the things that I need to work on in myself as well. Ladies and gentlemen, if you made it this far in the video, give me a thumbs up. And again, if you're new, hit that subscribe button for more videos like this. implement and apply everything that you learn here, because this is going to be the only way that you create an extraordinary relationship. So you and your partner, you and your spouse can be a part of the top 1% of couples. I love you guys, and there's nothing that you can do about it. I'll see you guys very, very soon. Bye now.